Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and we're in studio today with the cast of BlacKkKlansman. I have John David Washington, Laura Harrier, and Topher Grace. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And congratulations on your premiere and opening night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off with a quote from the real Ron Stallworth, played by you, JD. This is his quote about race in America. Let me put it this way, it hasn't changed. To me, race is the single most divisive factor affecting American society. It's an issue that we are afraid of, that we shy away from, and quite frankly, it amuses me that we are so sensitive to the issue. How is this movie the antidote to that sensitivity?
It amuses him, huh? And this film being the antidote. Well, I think for one thing, for sure, what I took away from it is the language. You know, the verbalization of this hatred and how generational that is, and that hatred and these words that are used, that is very divisive. So I think we can start, I guess, with this film. We'll at least not introduce, but remind people of how we talk amongst one another, how people talk behind closed doors and in the confines of their own home, you know, and that language, as it's repetitive and taught and instituted, that's how it gets the longevity and where it is today. And so this film, you see, it is a period piece, but it has a very contemporary feel to it, and it's because of those words, these trigger words that Ron would talk about, that are used often, and it's why he used it as well to conduct this case. So I think, you know, these words are really the most divisive things, and we got to change that.
I think you said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm off, tell me. I don't know. I'm just...
That was pretty complete.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your character development. Most of you played real characters. Laura, you played an amalgamation of real people.
Yeah.
How did your character development, like, I assume you all three of you had different approaches to your character development.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had probably the worst time of anyone.
A little different experience.
I got the call from Spike. You know, I want you to be, you know, you're the guy. It's a great day. I mean, he's a terrible man, but it's a really juicy, great role. And then I realized I'm in for the worst month of my life right now. I had to, you know, just really dig in and do the research. I read his autobiography, which is called My Awakening. It's kind of more like his Mein Kampf. I watched a lot of filmed interviews from the 70s. I listened to his radio show. It was just so overwhelmingly depressing. The best thing was there were some episodes of him from the early 80s on Donahue. Mm-hmm. And I could see him, this is where I really pinpointed how evil he is the crowd doesn't want him there. And he handles them pretty well.
I want to thank you so much for never putting your country second. America first. America first. America first.
Laura, you studied Angela Davis and Kathleen Cleaver.
Yeah. We actually, John David and I first went to meet Kathleen Cleaver.
What was that like?
It was so crazy. It was amazing and
Insightful.
Super insightful. She's such an inspiring woman and this huge figure of the Black Power movement. So Spike invited us all over to his house, and she just told her story and, you know, explains how she got involved with the Panthers and her relationship with Eldridge and kind of their life together and what she did. But
right,
just, yeah, it was just really inspiring to talk to her. Just on a human level, like outside of, you know, for my character and stuff. She's just someone I've looked up to for so long. So, yeah, but I took a lot of that for Patrice, and then I read a lot of Angela Davis's books, and Spike actually gave me like a whole long reading list. It was like being back in school, and I was like, well, how am I gonna read 20 books in 2 weeks, Spike? Like, cool. So, yeah, I kind of powered through all of those, and we watched the Black Panther mixtape with Spike, which was such a great documentary. Yeah. And then, yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but that's basically what I did.
Well, yeah, my way in was the music. You know, I sort of eliminated all hip hop and R&B, you know, from my diet for about 3 months It's just about 3 months. And so I just sort of, what I was realizing when I'm listening to War, listening to Marvin Gaye, and a lot of these songs, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and how people were dancing to these songs, but the lyrical content, it was very heavy stuff. And I think it was reflective of the times. I mean, people were just, it seemed like America was fed up, there's Vietnam, Martin Luther King killings, JFK. They were just expressing themselves in all different avenues: music, clothes, the hair, peace and love, drugs, whatever, you know what I mean? So I wanted to sort of let that be the foundation of where I started to build this character months before I even met Ron. And I was able to outsource to like my uncles and different people. I got my Uncle John who runs Marvin Gaye Studios. He was giving me a lot of insight on kung fu movies and like different playlists on there, his different playlists, and then really also the entertainment like movies. I was watching Superfly every week. I would go to sleep to Soul Train every night. So those dance scenes you see. I mean, I was I was working for them. Like it was fun day. But it was a very serious day for me. That was one of the toughest days. No, I had a blast. But so that was kind of my way, and then obviously being able to develop a relationship with Ron Stallworth. I never played a living person before, so that was a great challenge in that I wanted to not get it right, but get it true. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, I got to make sure it's right, make sure this is right. I just want to get it truthful as possible and that was freeing to be able to fluidly just be able to tell this story.
Did Ron tell you any stories that didn't make it into the movie? Do you have?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, which I can't share with you. I definitely can't. I mean, just from just from the practical standpoint of being a cop, where to stand in certain spaces and how to hold your gun and never, just different terms. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna give you. That's all I'm gonna give you.
And I have to ask you, JD, since the premiere just happened, how did your father like the movie, Denzel Washington?
That is his name. How did he? I know
It's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Put it together now.
Yeah, well, welcome. Oh man, my cover's blown. How did he like it? Is the question. I think he's a proud parent. Both of my parents are very proud. I mean, my mom's seen it about 3 times. She partied like a rock star in Cannes. Right? I mean, she was a very proud mother. It was a great moment for her, and so yeah, everybody's happy.
I was sitting right in front of your dad at the screening in New York, though, and he was laughing so loud at all the jokes.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was like in it. He was super loud, like right behind us. That's all. Back up. But he was, it was cute. They were super proud of you.
Cute.
That's
they were
fantastic.
really proud.
My dad loved it too.
Yeah, what'd he say?
Actually, he said he was really proud of you, which is
Oh, thanks,
really
Pop.
a bummer. Yeah, for me. Thanks, Pops.
So this is a wild, true story that took place before any of you were born. But did you connect with the characters and their struggles?
I definitely did. I mean, I think that we're talking about so many issues that are completely relevant to our time right now, and it was really that really kind of sunk in when Corey was giving his speech as Kwame Ture, and he just does an incredible job, and his performance is amazing. And he's speaking to this room of young Black people and who had never heard it for the first time, the first take, and you could feel the energy in that room just completely shift, and everyone was so riveted to the words he was saying because they were so completely true. And he's talking about young Black people being shot down by racist cops, and and it was intense, but also he gives this incredible performance, this amazing uplifting speech, and it really was something I feel like we were all able to connect with easily.
I did not connect.
I was about to say,
On the other hand,
how did you connect?
That's weird. Actors will say to you when you're playing a villain, you should find something that you agree with or some way into the character. If you're playing the Joker or something, like there's a fictional character, like is there some way to empathize with the character? Problem is, the more research I did, I don't want to say that I hated him because he's all about hate, so I don't know what the word is, but the more I found out about him, the more I didn't like him. Yeah. So there was nothing to play except for kind of pure evil.
Yeah. And, one of the things that you've said is that Spike Lee did a really amazing job of kind of keeping you connected in the film and making you feel part of the film. Can each of you tell me, like, a moment when Spike Lee interacted with you on set that was really important to you?
Honestly, it's when he told me to put more bass in my voice. We were shooting for the first week was like the explosion scene and like a lot of action movement stuff. So like the next week, it was the first time I really had words that were coming off the page. It was when I was doing the detail thing. You were coming from down the stairs, you and Ryan, and so we do a couple takes, and he comes back. He goes cut. He comes back. Now he's not like, if you're me and I'm Spike, he's like looking this way. Like, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring the camera around here. We're gonna bring it around here, and you're gonna do exactly what you just did. Put some bass in your voice. And then it just takes off. I was like, yo, I bursted out laughing, and for whatever reason, I mean, he's a master of cinema tone, and he's really recognizes energy and momentum, and he knows when not to mess, not to tweak, not to manipulate, but let it happen, even if we didn't plan for it. So sometimes it's what he didn't say to me. It was a line like that, a throwaway line, that it was funny, but it gave me confidence for whatever reason. I mean, I never felt more free to explore and to trust my teammates than a Spike Lee joint. I mean, this legend trusted us with the material, and that gave me so much confidence. Confidence I didn't even realize I needed.
Why haven't you bought into this?
Why should I?
Because you're Jewish, brother. The so-called chosen people. You've been passing for a wasp. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, cherry pie, hot dog, white boy. That's what some light-skinned black folks do. They pass for white. Doesn't that hatred you've been hearing the Klan say, doesn't that piss you off?
Of course it does.
Then why are you acting like you ain't got skin in the game, brother?
Rookie, that's my fucking business.
It's our business.
I don't know. I had a crazy day when we were, we were shooting this big speech scene, and in between each take, Spike is playing like The Temptations and Michael Jackson and just riling up the crowd, and he's running around. He's like, dance, 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 and we're on stage, and like I was like, I don't know, like leading this rally and dancing in front of all these people, and he's so incredible at creating the energy in the room, and whatever it needs to be for that scene. He knows really how to just create the vibe, and he's so interactive with his actors as well. Like, he's really there with you, and he talks to everyone, he talks you through it, and there's always a conversation about everything we're doing. He's not someone who just says, do it like this and do what I say. It's always open for your interpretation. So, he's just like really supportive, and he trusted us, which was crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
The day I really needed Spike was we shot kind of all of the Klan rally stuff in 1 week, so it got really depressing really fast. In the film, it's cutting around to different stuff, but to film that much of it at once, mostly on his set, it's really fun. He's really open to things, but that week it got really tough, and he would want you to improv, but everything you're improving comes from this place of hate, and it was just terrible. So one day I and I'm not an actor that takes their work home with them. I'm not very method. One day I was just really bummed out, and that's where you need a great leader like Spike. He just came up to me and kind of rubbed my back. I was like, hey, I know this week is terrible, but you're serving my message.
That's great though. You did that.
I know what I'm saying. I'm like Spike Lee. That's right. And I went and shot it, and he was right. When I saw the film, I thought, oh, that was worth it.
Laura, what was it like filming the scene with Harry Belafonte?
I mean, incredible. That was such a special day. It was actually our last day of shooting, and that was the last scenes that we shot of the whole film. And everyone on set that day, all the crew members, all dressed up. The men were wearing tuxes and the women were wearing dresses. And John David wasn't even working that day, and he came to set in his tux, looking super handsome. And you were just all dressed up. You were ready.
I wasn't working. I was working. I thought I was on hold.
You were not there.
I was on hold. Just in case they needed a brother, I was ready. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Call me out like that.
Dude, Harry Belafonte, I would have come.
I know,
right? I mean,
who wouldn't come for that? No, it was amazing, and I don't know. I mean, he is telling this true story. This tragic, awful story that really happens. And hearing those words though come from his mouth, this incredible figurehead and icon of the civil rights movement, it just lent that much more weight to what he was telling. And I think, and everyone was completely affected by this story. It was like we didn't have to act, like we just were listening to these words coming from this incredible man, and it was really it was intense, but amazing. And he's also so just kind and so talented and good. And he was just on it every single take. He completely delivered, and I was so inspired by him. It was really cool.
So this movie has, is Spike Lee, classic Spike Lee signature style, includes a lot of documentary footage or footage from other movies. So you didn't really get to see that until you saw the completed project. How did it feel to see the full project, including the documentary footage at the end?
How did it feel? Well, it depends on where I was at the time. What it felt like in France. It felt different in Brooklyn. It felt different than yesterday. Seeing it overseas, it made me embarrassed for my country. I almost felt like I'm in a stranger's house. We're watching my documentary, or like inside footage of what goes on in my house. And like, oh man, is that how I talk? Is that how we sound? You know what I mean? At the same time, it was very inspirational of what people overseas were able to connect with, and share some of the same issues and struggles. That we're not alone in that fight. And again, Spike he did a beautiful job of, again, I said he's like a master of tone. I believe you said it before as well. Like, and you just see that, because like when I'm filming, I'm not thinking funny. I'm not hitting any points. I'm just gonna connect with my partners. And the truth will come out. So it's like, we'll see what they do with it. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. And to see that, I never felt more proud as an artist. And seeing what he kept as well. Like I guess I was surprised about some of the ad-libs and some of the little small things that he was able to catch and use. I mean, that's like inspiring as an artist. Like, because it makes you on your A game. Like, whatever you bring, whatever truth you bring, he'll use it. So.
First shot of the film is the Civil War. The last shot of the film is 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other directors who could maybe tell Ron's story. No one but Spike Lee could run that line, kind of telling that story of America. And to me, when I saw it in Cannes, it's the first time I'd seen the film, when that footage came on at the end, because there's Klan footage that we shot, and then it went into something that had happened, I guess, 9 months earlier at that time. And I think the audience didn't know at first that it was real life footage, and there was this kind of gasp. And my feeling was it was like a horror movie where the guy calls and says the call's coming from inside the house. Oh my God, the killer's here. Like it's like a brilliant move of Spike's.
Yeah, this is your America.
Yeah,
not just the America
it's a
you're
little
seeing
bit
from 1978.
It's at an arm's length a little bit, being in a different time.
I didn't think about it. Like, you think they didn't connect that it was real footage at first, huh?
I don't know if that Chiron was at the bottom of the screen in Cannes.
Wow.
And
wow, that's interesting.
and also,
I didn't think about that.
that footage is not from their country, so it's not as it took a second.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. What was it like seeing David Duke in that final footage?
I mean, it was weird. It's always weird watching yourself in a film, and you kind of can never really, or it's very hard to connect with a piece of material that you're in, that you're watching. That didn't stop me at all. I mean, this might be the first time that I've been so moved by something that I'm in, because it's not even about me. It was just like that ending. He's an artist. It's so rare in Hollywood you get to work with like a real visionary. People use that word a lot. Someone said that at the premiere last night, but he's and just be a part of that is like.
I feel the same.
That's why we're all here.
I feel the same way.
So the movie's opening wide on the 1-year anniversary of Charlottesville. Personally, how has Charlottesville affected you?
It's interesting. I asked my mother, like, been doing all this research, right? Like when this happened, I was doing a lot of research for the film and a lot of 60s and late 60s and 70s research. And I was starting to get a little not depressed, but I felt disgusted, like, in our country and all that. I asked her, do you think the times were worse then or now? And she said now, being one that's lived through both. And I felt like, I guess I imagine what they felt like after a lot of people felt like after Vietnam, or after the killing of JFK and Martin Luther King. Like, we're just tired of it. We're just fed up. Like, and I'm just like, what can I don't have the words. I don't know what to do, but I'm ready to follow somebody with some sense. But this is the craft. I'm able to do it. In this is my way of trying to contribute. If we can inspire one person you know, to make the actual change, then we've done our job. At least that's how I feel. You know.
Yeah, I feel like our job as artists is to lend our voice to this story and to be part of Spike's telling of this story. And yeah, for me, that's you know what I can do, and that's like how it feels important. But yeah, seeing that footage is really yeah, it was jarring and scary and shocking. So I'm just so happy that Spike put that in the film, and to remind people too, because so many crazy things are happening all the time now that it's easy to forget, even though that was only a year ago. And I think that needs to be at the front of people's minds so we don't go back there. Yeah.
My wife and I just had our first child before shooting started, and it's a very confusing time to bring someone into the world, kind of look around. I agree with what JD is saying. It's cathartic to be able to, I mean, look, it's really Spike saying something, but to be able to help him say something.
Right.
They say, you know, if you don't know your history, you could be condemned to repeat it. That's why I think this movie, and just all movies that are like this, are so important right now.
So Spike Lee went on CNN and said that he hopes this movie helps make Trump a one-term president.
That's what he said?
He did. And, you know, Trump actually...
You want that tweet. Where's the tweet?
Right?
Come on, there's people off camera from
I was
Focus
gonna say-
Features being like, come on, just one tweet. Right now, like, you know, when people are buying tickets, that's when we need the tweet.
I would say, exactly. I was going to say, you know, Trump does watch CNN, and he has.
I mean, do his tweets get press? Because that'd be great. That would be good for just tweet something.
Holla at us.
Yeah. Let us know your opinion. We don't know what it is.
Holla at
Just give us a little tweet.
He's been known to react to some Hollywood Reporter articles as well. So, do you want
I
to
guess he
address
can be a
Trump
little
directly?
reactionary sometimes. Yeah.
Wow.
Is there anything you want to say to him if he happens to be watching?
I think the film does a great job
Yeah.
of saying everything that we want to say. The end.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
All right, finally, just for fun, name one thing from the 70s you would like to bring back today.
I've spent enough time in the 70s. Why am I going to stop wearing polyester? All I've worn is polyester. I've spent more time in the 70s than people who lived through the 70s. Done with that.
This might be like a weird answer, but like just process. It seemed like in my research too, it seemed like they valued the process of things, even how people made stuff, how music was made, clothes, the food. You know, slow down a little
Spend
bit.
a little more time
I
on
think
things.
so. I like that to get back in style somehow.
The films.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, exactly. Process.
I'd like to bring back Soul Train.
Oh, yo, exactly. Yeah, that too.
Bring back Soul Train.
Yeah, that too. Good answer.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
BlacKkKlansman, open everywhere now. Go see it.
Go see it. Thank you.
Bye.